Ananda, Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevata Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. We offer our respectful and very humble obeisances to Srimati Radharani, whose appearance day it is today. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Shri Radhastami Mahotsava ki. So I will begin by reading a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Devi Krishna Mai Prokta Radhika Paradeva is the direct counterpart of Lord Sri Krishna. She is the central figure for all the goddesses of fortune. She possesses all the attractiveness to attract the all-attractive personality of Godhead. She is the primeval internal potency of the Lord. Srimati Radharani, the primeval internal potency of the Lord. You know, when we talk about Krishna, the nature of Lord Krishna, his nature basically is Sat Chit Ananda. This is the nature of the internal potency, the spiritual energy of the Lord. Sat means eternal. Chit means fully conscious. And Ananda means fully blissful. So happy we cannot calculate or really understand. Certainly we have no real experience. So that's the nature of the spiritual energy, the spiritual nature. Whereas here we are, well, of course, we're in the temple here, so this is also part of the spiritual nature, the spiritual world. But otherwise, soon as you step out, or off the property at least, you're in the material world. Particularly if you go out that way, I think, to the fish shop or whatever it is. So there, instead of being sat, eternal, everything's temporary, very temporary. And instead of being chit, means fully conscious. In the material world, there's so much ignorance. And instead of there being Ananda, spiritual bliss, unending, unlimited spiritual bliss, in the material world you get a lot of anxiety, a lot of difficulty. And in the end, you know who's up on this road that goes up to meet the highway, just over there by the police station. You know, on the right-hand side, at the corner, you know what it is, right? That's the funeral services. And so you end up becoming a patron of the the funeral services. No matter how your life was, if you somehow you were successful, which doesn't happen so much, but if, say, you were, and you became a multi-millionaire type of person, but in the end, you end up at the Pinetown funeral services, lying down very relaxed. Right. So that's the nature of the material world. But in the spiritual world, everything's eternal, fully conscious, and fully blissful. And Srimati Radharani, she is the personal manifestation of the bliss, of the happiness. Because these states, the state of eternity, the state of being conscious, the state of being blissful, they have Sanskrit terms. Yes, for the eternity state, there's an energy. It's called Sandini. The Sandini energy gives that eternity. And then the Samvit energy gives that chit, or that consciousness, that awareness. And then the Hladini potency, Hladini Shakti, or energy, gives that Ananda, that blissfulness. If you follow the idea, yeah. And that Hladini potency, Hladini Shakti, is Radharani. Srimati Radharani is the personal manifestation of the bliss of the spiritual world. And even though there are the three of them, eternity, knowledge or consciousness, and bliss, but the main one is the bliss. The main one is the bliss. The eternity, the knowledge or the consciousness, they're important, of course, they're very important indeed. But they're all there to facilitate the bliss. Therefore, Radharani is the most important manifestation of the spiritual nature, because she is giving bliss to Krishna. And let me read another verse. Let me just see, where are we? Here we are. This is also from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Radha Krishna pranaya vikritir hladini shaktir asmad ekat manav api bhuvi pura deha bedam gatota chaitanyakyam prakatam adana tattvayam chaikyam aptam radha bhava duty suvalitam nomi Krishna swarupam. We don't want to drown you in Sanskrit, but what it means is the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they have separated themselves eternally. Now these two transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So, yes, that's a nice verse. It's actually the 5th verse of the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. Radha and Krishna, the verse said, Ekat Manav. That's such simple. Eka, at least, is Hindi, but it's also Sanskrit. Eka is the same in Sanskrit. One. Radha and Krishna are one. But they've separated to become two. But actually they're one in two. Krishna's pleasure potency has separated itself from Krishna and become another person who is Radharani. So Radharani as Krishna's pleasure potency, Hladini Shakti, extraordinary, isn't it? So actually they are one in two. This is the point. They're one in two. They're two, Krishna, Radharani. Like, down there in the Radhanath temple, I'm sure you've all been there many times. On the altar, Radha and Krishna, two. But actually they're one, because she is part of Krishna. But in order to increase the nectar, the happiness, Krishna separated her. But apparently she's another person. She acts like she is, but she is a manifestation of Krishna, Krishna's ability to enjoy. So that's all she thinks of. How can I help Krishna to enjoy? And that's all she does, 24/7. She just gives enjoyment to Krishna. And she thinks of ways, how will I give enjoyment to Krishna? What can I do to give Krishna pleasure more than he's had before? Yes, because being separate, there's that opportunity, there's some independence in the relationship. So she thinks of ways to make Krishna happy. And it surprises Krishna. How did she think to do that? It's because she's separate. She has a separate capacity. They're one, but now they're in two. So she's giving Krishna in so many ways, giving him pleasure in so many ways. Like, for example, we've all been fasting today, haven't we? Have you been fasting today? Have you been fasting today? Good boy. Anyway, most of us have been fasting today. It's great, isn't it? Chanting, dancing, and fasting. It's really nice. So then after a while, don't worry, it won't take long, we will have some prasadam. Yes. And the longer you fast for, the better the prasadam tastes. So I'm doing you a favor. We're doing you a favor here. You're going to have such a wonderful time tonight. Anyway, in a little while. So Krishna also, he likes to eat. And Radharani, because she knows Krishna likes to eat, she likes to cook for Krishna. And I know particularly all you Matajis, you are expert cooks. My Lord, I've experienced in some of your cases, your cooking. You know what? Butter paneer and etc. Samosas, kachoris. I don't know what there's going to be today. Don't worry. Anyway, it'll taste great. So Radharani, she cooks for Krishna twice a day. Lunchtime, like around this time, she's cooking. Coming to the time of finishing. lunchtime, and then later on in the afternoon for like the evening snack type of thing, she cooks again, twice a day. And she's been doing like that for many millions and billions and trillions and quadrillions and zillions of years. But you know what? Think about this, ladies. She has never repeated the same preparation. Never. It's always something different. And just incredible nectar, but always something different. This is Radharani. So you know, ladies, what you must do, because Radharani is the queen of the kitchen. Wherever devotees are cooking for Krishna, means like in your houses, because I'm sure you offer all the food you cook to Krishna. Radharani's in the kitchen with you. And if you pray to Radharani that, you know, I can do my butter paneer, I can do, and I can do biryani, and I can do nice moong dal, and I can do samosas, sweet corn and paneer, I can do. And, you know, I can do broad beans, and I can do dabla, green beans and dabla. I can do gadra. Get the idea? So you pray to her like this. I can do all these things. I've done them so many times. But you are the queen of the kitchen, and I'm cooking for Krishna. We're going to offer it to him. Please give me some inspiration so I can do something a little special and a little different this time for Krishna. And if you pray very nicely and you try, Radharani will empower you. That's the nature of Radharani. Because she is, Bhakti Devi is an expansion of Radharani. And so Radharani, she is the original form of bhakti. She is the queen of devotion, the mother of devotion. And when Radharani sees, here is some devotee trying to do some service for Krishna, then Radharani, she becomes inspired. Here's a devotee doing something for Krishna. She becomes so happy. She becomes very happy because all she wants is to see Krishna pleased, to see Krishna happy. And when she sees here someone trying to make Krishna happy, she becomes so happy. And she helps. Yeah. And let me read something here this is from Prabhupada actually, from a class he gave in London in 1973 on Radhastami. And I was there. So listen to this. Just listen to this. Krishna is the origin of Vishnu Tattva, and he is pleased through Radharani. Therefore, we don't keep Krishna alone. No, Radha Krishna. First Radharani. You notice how we say it, Radha Krishna. Did you ever hear us say Krishna Radha? Look, there's Krishna Radha. No, we say, look, there's Radha Krishna. So that's what Prabhupada is saying. Don't keep Krishna alone. No, Radha Krishna. First Radharani. So that day is today. First you have to worship Radharani. And so in Vrindavan you'll see all the devotees, they address one another. Jai Radhe, because they know if Radharani is pleased, if I can please Radharani, then, so anyone who comes before Radharani to serve Krishna, she becomes so pleased. Oh, here is a devotee of Krishna. She immediately recommends Krishna. Oh, here is a devotee. He is better than me. This is Radharani. I may be not a devotee. I may be most fallen rascal. But if I try to reach Krishna through Radharani, then my business is successful. Therefore, we should worship Radharani first. That is our business. Instead of offering directly one flower to Krishna, you just put it in the hands of Radharani, and you say to her, my mother, Radharani, Jagannatha, if you kindly gated by Radharani. So this is our philosophy, to please Krishna through Radharani. And just today is the auspicious day of Radharani's appearance. So we should offer Pushpanjali, flowers, and pray to Radharani that Radharani, kindly be merciful and tell about me to your Krishna. To your Krishna. Krishna is yours. Radha Krishna. Krishna is not independent. Krishna is Radharani's property. So you have to approach Krishna through Radharani. That is today the auspicious day. Worship Radharani very nicely and be happy. So yes, that was Srila Prabhupada. That was Srila Prabhupada, who is the representative of Radharani. She is in Radharani's team, the team whose business is pleasing Krishna, doing things for Krishna. And you know, there's so many stories, there's so many pastimes in which this sort of thing comes going on. And all the devotees in Vrindavan, in Goloka Vrindavan, in the kingdom of God, that's all they do. How to please Krishna. But as Prabhupada was saying, through Radharani, not independently. Who am I? Who are we to think that, yes, I am devotee. I am Krishna's devotee. I will go up to Krishna and say, Krishna, here I am, your devotee. Doesn't really work so well. You go to Radharani, as Prabhupada said, and ask Radharani, please say something to Krishna about me. And then Krishna will notice, because Radharani recommended you. Yes, if she goes up to you and says, you know, Krishna, in South Africa, you heard of South Africa, Krishna? And Krishna says, yeah, I heard about South Africa. Radharani says, you know, in South Africa there is a place called Phoenix. And Krishna says, yeah, I know about Phoenix. It's in Durban. And Radharani says, in Phoenix, there are many nice devotees. Radharani says, your devotees, Krishna. And Krishna says, yes, I know all about them. And then Radharani says, you know, there's one devotee in particular in Phoenix. What's that devotee's name? Let's say Madhu Mangal. Is that okay? There's one of your devotees there in Phoenix, Krishna. His name is Madhu Mangal. And he's a really nice devotee. He loves kirtani. Oh, he just loves being with the devotees. And Krishna, Radharani says, Krishna, I want you to accept him. And Krishna immediately says, yes, 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 I accept him. And that's it. That's the perfection of your life. Then you're on the way back to the kingdom of God. When Krishna recognizes you. No, actually, I'm sure Krishna recognizes many of you. But the thing is, when Radharani recommends you, Krishna will never refuse. It's out of the question. Yes, when Radharani recommends you, and even you don't have much qualification as a devotee. You know, sometimes maybe you sort of, get a little, we would say, spaced out. Have you heard that term before? Spaced out? It's an old hippie term. I was cooking once in London for the deities, Radha Landanishwara, in the 70s. And there was one Bengali devotee with me cooking. The two of us were cooking. Subhag, now Subhag Maharaj. And we had messed something up a bit. And I said, we're spaced out. He said, what? I said, we're spaced out. And he didn't understand the idea. He said, well, we must space in then. So you're a devotee, you're trying to be a devotee, but sometimes you space out a bit. And maybe you watch, what's the latest, what's his name? Shah Rukh Bhai. What's it called? Jawan. Soldier. It's the latest, isn't it? You don't you know? You don't know. Congratulations. If you don't know, that's great. I know. I mean, no way I'd watch it, but I saw it in the news just a matter of a week or two ago. Anyway, so maybe you space out a bit and you see some Bollywood. Oh, Krishna. Kuch kuch hota hai. But you're sitting there watching it and you're thinking, I shouldn't be watching this because I'm a devotee. I should be chanting my rounds. And then you think, well, it's an interesting movie. Maybe I'll watch it and I'll chant my rounds while I'm watching it. This is not really the best idea, actually. So even you get a little spaced out, Prabhupada said there, that even you may not be a devotee, or maybe you're kind of foolish devotee. That's possible, isn't it? Sometimes you do something a little silly, although generally you're trying to be a devotee. But Radharani is so kind to those who are just trying to do something, that she'll recommend you. She'll overlook your sort of, sometimes you get a bit confused or a little silly. She'll overlook it. And she'll go to Krishna and recommend you. And when she recommends, Krishna cannot and will not, and he has never refused. Never, ever. Not one time. So like this, we have to sort of work with Radharani. We have to keep Radharani in mind. And if we do like that, then our lives will be successful. So in Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan, the devotees are always doing like that. Like Srila Prabhupada actually tells one story, little story, it's just a few sentences about Madhu Mangal. That one, the big one. You're not the big one, you're just, the phoenix one. The big Madhu Mangal there, Krishna's funny Brahmin friend. And Madhu Mangal, that Madhu Mangal, he loves prasadam. He just loves prasadam. So, in fact, he loves prasadam so much. He has a spiritual body. And when you have a spiritual body, there, devotees, brace yourselves. There's no limit to how much you can eat. And you won't become, as they say in chats, you won't become too healthy, if you know what I mean. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai. So, Madhu Mangal, he's trying. He's eating, his specialty is laddu. They're having a feast, everyone's got some laddu. And Madhu Mangal tells everyone, could you give me your laddu? They've got other things, they've also got gulab jamun and maybe a jalebi, maybe some Mysore pak. They've got a few sweets, but he's into the laddu. So he goes around asking them all, can you please give me your laddu? And they give him their laddus. So he ends up with 50 laddus, and he eats them all. And the only one left is Krishna. And he goes to Krishna and says, Krishna, could you give me your laddu, please? And Krishna gives him one of those looks like, come on. I saw you eat 50 laddus. What do you want another one for? But he does, he wants another one. And so, but now how's he going to get it from Krishna? So you know what he does? Every time he says, Krishna, if you give me your laddu, I will go and say something very nice about you to your friend, Radharani. I'll say something very nice about you to Radharani. And Krishna gives him his laddu. So Radharani, very special, such a special devotee. There are many famous stories that, for example, there was one great devotee. Some of you would have heard of him some hundreds of years before. And he was a great devotee of Krishna. Great devotee of Krishna. So one day he was writing a poem about Krishna. He was writing a poem about Krishna. And I'm just trying to find the poem. So in that poem, he was just writing and writing. It was just sort of pouring out of his heart. It was just pouring out of his heart. And he didn't even notice that he had written a verse in which Lord Krishna glorifies Srimati Radharani. But he didn't even notice it, that he was doing it. And he wrote in that poem that Radharani, that Krishna says, I want to get the dust from the lotus feet of Radharani. So he wrote that. I want to get the dust of the lotus feet of Radharani. But then, so there's a particular verse, I've got it right here, look at that. It goes like this. Smaragarala kandanam, mama shirasi mandanam, dehi pada palavam udaram. The beautiful flower blossoms of Radharani's feet counteract the deadly poison of amorous love. Those lotus feet extinguish the terrifying fire of the pain of that love which rages within my heart. Therefore, Radharani, please be kind and allow your feet to decorate my head. Allow your feet to decorate my head. Put your lotus feet on my head. So he wrote that, just sort of, with his eyes closed, it was just pouring out. Then suddenly pulled himself together and he looked at that verse and he thought to himself, What am I doing? I am saying that Krishna, God, wants to have the feet of Radharani on his head. That's offensive. That's offensive to think that someone would put their feet on Krishna's head. Rather, we should get the feet of Krishna on our heads. That's how it should be. So this is not right. That's what he thought. So what he did, he wasn't using a computer. Anyway, okay. He wasn't using a computer. So he couldn't just backspace it out or something like that. Nor was he writing on paper, he was writing on tree bark. And he didn't have any, what do they call it, Tipex here? You know what I mean? This whiteout stuff. You just you put it over the top of what you just typed, and then you can type over the top something else. So he didn't have any of that. You know what? He didn't even have a rubber, like some of us had many years ago when we were at school. He didn't have anything like that. So he took a blade, like a razor blade, a sharp, fine blade, and physically cut that verse out and threw it away, thinking that this is terrible. I said, how could I do it? I don't know what came over me. I said that Krishna wants Radharani's feet on his head. Oh, that's terrible. So he cut it out. Then what he did, it was lunchtime. So he told his wife, Padmavati was his wife. He told his wife, it's almost time for lunch. I'm going to go down to the Ganges, because he was living in the sort of Mayapur area, Navadvip area. I'm going to go to the Ganges, take a bath. I'll be back, because it's probably 10, 15-minute walk, then take a bath, another 15 minutes back. I'll be back in 45 minutes for lunch, okay? And she said, fine. Off he went. And you know what happened, devotees? This is going to confuse you a bit. 10 minutes later, he came back. Or rather, somebody came back who looked exactly like him. And that somebody, you may guess who it is, that somebody told Padmavati, the wife, that, I wrote something and then I cut it out and removed it. But actually, it was good. I want to write it back in. So he sat down and wrote. She doesn't know what he's writing. She doesn't know. So where Jayadev had physically cut with a blade that verse out, this person who looked like Jayadev wrote something right in that spot. And then he said, okay, I was going to go down and take bath and come back and have lunch, but, I came back now. So I'll just take lunch now. So he sat down, took lunch, and, the traditional way is the wife serves lunch to the husband, and when he's finished, she takes lunch after. So he took lunch, and then he said, okay, I'm going to go down to the river and take bath now. Off he went, this person who looked just like Jayadev, her husband. A few minutes later, devotees, take a wild guess who came back with wet hair and, wet towel and things. Can you guess? It was Jayadev. It was Jayadev. Came back just a few minutes later. Because, to serve a husband lunch, it took a little while, 20 minutes or something. So the time had passed that he would need to bathe and then come back. So it was Jayadev. His hair's wet. His towel, everything's wet. And there's his wife sitting down and eating lunch because she served. You get the idea? And Jayadev, now this is actually Jayadev, it's not just someone who looks like him. It's Jayadev. And Jayadev says to his wife, what are you doing eating before me? You know the culture. You're meant to serve your husband first. And then you take lunch. What are you doing eating lunch now? And she's just she doesn't know what's going on. And she says, but you were just here. You said you came back. You had crossed, cut something out because you didn't like it. But then you told me you wanted to write it in again. And you did. And then you said, okay, I'll take lunch. So I just served you lunch. And then you left to go and take bath. And Jayadev went back to his writing. And you know what he read in that place where he had physically cut those words out? It was the same thing. Smaragara lakandanam, mamashirasi mandanam, dehi pada palavam udaram. Same. The beautiful flower blossoms of your feet counteract the deadly poison of amorous love. They extinguish the terrifying fire of the pain of that love which rages within my heart. This is Krishna. This is actually Krishna speaking. Therefore, Krishna says, please be kind and allow your feet to decorate my head. So there it is, it's written there. And she, Padmavati, the wife, says, look, there it is. You came back, you wrote it there. And then you had lunch, so what's wrong with you? And then Jayadev realized, did you guess who it is who came back and rewrote? Did you manage? It was Krishna. You got it. It was Krishna came back, sort of disguised, because Krishna's a master of disguise. He came back disguised as Jayadev and wrote the same verse in, expressing his devotion to Radharani. And Jayadev was looking at it. What on earth happened? I cut it out. I threw it away. And it's here again. And Padmavati, his wife, said, yeah, it was you. You came and you wrote it. Do you get the idea, or have we lost you? A kilometer back. Do you get the idea? You get the idea. Yes. Thank you. So yes, that's the thing. That we should be devoted to Radharani. That's what Prabhupada was saying. That we should offer things to Krishna through Radharani. That instead of taking a flower and saying, here Krishna, take my flower, but put it in the hand of Radharani and ask her, my dear Radharani, Jagan Mata means the mother of the whole universe. You please offer this flower to Krishna for me. And you please say something to Krishna about me, some recommendation. And then Krishna accepts. Krishna is very happy, extremely happy, overjoyed. He cannot refuse when Radharani offers something, but then you get the credit. So even Krishna is, as Radharani is devoted to Krishna, Krishna is devoted to Radharani. Because that's the meaning of love. Love is not a one-way street. That I love you, and that's it. And you've got some other ideas and whatever else you're into, but you don't love me. But I love you. That's a one-way street. Real love is not a one-way street, it's always a two-way street. And with Krishna, it's like that also. Even though Krishna is such a big man, so important, so inconceivably important. But if you do something for him, if you serve him, if you try to please him, he'll reciprocate. Srila Jiva Goswami says that even though Krishna is so vast, he's bigger than an unlimited ocean, but he never forgets even the smallest drop of service. He never forgets. So Krishna and Radharani, they are an amazing couple. Radharani is always trying to please Krishna, and Krishna is always trying to please Radharani. It's amazing. Radharani, Srila Prabhupada explains that Radharani, she doesn't think she's much of a devotee. She's the greatest devotee by far, just by far. But she doesn't think she's a great devotee. She thinks she's just, no one in particular, really. And she's in the company of many gopis. It's a whole group, a whole team. Radharani and the other cowherd girls. Oh, so many of them. And Radharani is the chief, but she doesn't think she's the chief. But rather, Radharani thinks these other gopis, they're better devotees than me. I'm not much of a devotee. But these other gopis, they're real devotees. So then Radharani, you know what she does? The gopis say to her, go and meet Krishna. Go and meet Krishna. Make Krishna happy. And Radharani says, no, I can't do that. You go and meet Krishna, because you're a better devotee than me. And she pushes another gopi forward. Go on, go and you meet Krishna. Now, you've all heard of the eternal triangle, haven't you? Or haven't you? Have I lost you? Eternal triangle means one boy, two girls. The equation does not balance. One boy, two girls, or one girl, two boys. Someone has to lose out. Someone will win, someone will lose out. Do you get me? So, but now Radharani, there's these other girls, and she pushes them forward. You go meet with Krishna. You'll please him more than me, because who am I? And then she feels happy. I've done a good thing for Krishna. I arranged that a really nice gopi will meet with him. I'm happy I did that. This is selfless love. Otherwise, you know what it's like when there's one boy and two girls. You may get a cat fight. Someone may die. Sometimes someone does die, actually. Yeah, because, amongst the conditioned souls, the idea is me first, me first. And if there's an opportunity to get something nice or get some enjoyment or something, I want to be the one. But pure heart means I don't want to push myself forward. Let someone else go forward and meet with Krishna. This is Radharani and her mood of selfless love. She thinks, if my pain makes Krishna happy, then my pain becomes my greatest happiness. This is Radharani. Yes. So, who are we? We're just little people. We're trying to be devotees and trying to be or trying to become devotees. But, sometimes it's not easy. It's the material world. There's a lot of challenges in the material world. A lot of obstacles and envious people, even at work sometimes. Someone may get envious of you and try to arrange you lose your job or something like that. But that's the material world. Spiritual life, Krishna consciousness means the devotees are thinking how to please Krishna, and if someone else is pleasing Krishna more than me, I congratulate them. I don't think, I want to defeat them, get them out of the way. Not like that. So, So there are many wonderful pastimes. Let me just tell you one, and then I'll conclude. Is that okay? Yes. It better be, because I'm going to anyway. So there's one nice story. There are many nice, but Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, wrote a poem. It is called Chatu Pushpanjali, which means, Chatu means four, and Pushpa means flower, you all know that. Pushpanjali, 4 offerings of flowers at the lotus feet of Radharani. So the first verse goes like this, and this is Rupa Goswami. Nava Gorochana Gaurim Pravarendhiravambaram Mani Stabaka Vidyoti Veni Vyalangana Panam. It's a prayer to Radharani. O Queen, Radharani, O Queen, as fear as fresh Gorochana. Gorochana is golden colored. O Queen, as fair as fresh Gorochana. O Queen, whose garments are a splendid lotus flower, because she wears blue usually, because it reminds her of Krishna. O Queen, whose glistening jewel and flower decorated braids are the hood of a serpent. And then he goes on. So Rupa Goswami wrote this poem. It's a whole poem. And that's the first verse of it. And it ends that Vidyota Veni Vyalangana Panam, that your jewel and flower decorated braids are like the hood of a serpent, like a cobra. Yeah. So he wrote that, the whole thing, and then he took it to Radhakund, Shamakund, gave it to Sanatana Goswami, and said, Sanatana, could you edit this? Could you check this and see what you think? Does it need to be improved? And Sanatana thought, improve something by Rupa Goswami? Come on, that's ridiculous. But still, he's asking me to. So he agreed, all right, yeah, let me take it and I'll check it for you. But actually he just wanted to read it and enjoy it. So he read the first verse that I just read. And he came across this line that Radharani's hair, it's in a single long braid, like a single long ponytail, pigtail ponytail, if you know what I mean, hanging down her back. And Rupa Goswami says it looks like when you walk, it moves. And when it moves, it looks like a black snake. And Sanatana read that, and he thought, what? What is this? Radharani. He's saying, Rupa Goswami says, she looks like a black snake, or her hair looks like a black snake. How could he say that? It's not nice, because snakes are not nice. How could he say that? But he's Rupa Goswami. How could he make a mistake? But how could he say this? But how could he make a mistake? He became bewildered. So, about maybe a week later, Rupa Goswami came back and said, you finished checking that poem I read, Chatu Pushpanjali. And Sanatana said, well, I'm still working on it. It takes time. And Rupa said, well, I really need it. Do you mind just finishing up whatever you can? Sanatana didn't know what to do. So he took the poem and went out and sat on the bank of Shamakund. If you know where his place is there, you know where I mean. And he sat there with this manuscript, looking at the manuscript, looking at the lake, and praying. I don't know what to do. Black snake? It can't be right. But it's Rupa Goswami. How could it be wrong? At that moment, some village girls appeared on the other side of the Kund. It's only like 20 meters, 25 meters across. So they came out, and these village girls started playing a ball game, throwing a ball back and forth and jumping and laughing and just having a great time. And Sanatana Goswami sitting there in anxiety. Angst rules, if you know what I mean. So he's sitting there in anxiety, but there's all these girls playing. And, sometimes he looks at the girls, sometimes he looks at the manuscript. Then he looks and he sees one girl has her back to him, but she has this long plait down her back, this long plait. And he thinks, wow, look at that. That's what I was reading about. Then he saw the plait moving, and he realized it's not a plait, it's a snake. So he jumped up and he shouted out, "Watch out, snake, snake, watch out." And the girls in the middle of their game, "Snake, where's the snake?" "On her back. Save her." And they looked on the back of that girl and they just started roaring with laughter. And they said, "What do you mean snake? That's not a snake. It's her hair. It's her plait of hair." And they laughed at him, "You silly old man. Get some glasses." And Sanatan felt embarrassed. Then suddenly those girls vanished. They didn't just quickly run away. Suddenly, 1 second they were there, the next second they were not there. None of them. They just vanished into nothingness. And Sanatan understood that was Radharani and the gopis. And they did all of that just to show me that whatever Rupa Goswami says is right. So then the Rupa Goswami came, that, "Come on now, haven't you finished yet?" And Sanatan said, "I just finished, just right now." And Rupa Goswami said, "Well, okay, what do you think of it?" And Sanatan Goswami said, "I think it's just wonderful, just so beautiful. And particularly that part where you say her long hair, her plait, looks like a black snake. Oh, that's so wonderful, just so wonderful, so take it." And Rupa Goswami was happy. You get the idea. Srimati Radharani, very special devotee, and many pastimes. So anyway, devotees, I think you've fasted long enough, and there's a couple of other things we've got to do. So, Hare Krishna, Srimati Radharani Ke, Sri Radhastami Mahotsava Ke, Go Premanande.